The disappearance of Michael Ashford in the fall of 1995, the small, sleepy town of Elmsworth was turned upside down by an event so shocking, it would be spoken of for years to come. Nestled in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains, Elmsworth was the kind of place where everyone knew each other's business. A close-knit community, its 2,000 residents went about their lives quietly, until Michael Ashford vanished without a trace. Michael was no ordinary man. At 42 years old, he was a respected professor of history at the local college and a passionate outdoorsman. He had a deep fascination with the past, particularly the unsolved mysteries that dotted the annals of human history. Colleagues and friends often remarked on his obsession with local legends, specifically stories of strange disappearances in the Appalachian wilderness. It was this fascination that led Michael to undertake what would be his final adventure. On October 10, 1995, Michael told his friend Hannah Cooper, a fellow professor, that he was going on a solo hiking trip through a remote section of the Appalachian Trail. He'd been planning it for months, meticulously charting his route and gathering information about the area. The trail he intended to explore was known to be rugged and isolated, with few visitors passing through its dense woods. It was perfect for someone seeking solitude, but it also had a dark reputation. Over the years, several hikers had gone missing in that same stretch of wilderness, never to be seen again. Hannah, knowing Michael's experience as a hiker, wasn't too worried when he didn't contact her for a few days. He had mentioned that he might be out of range and wouldn't be able to check in. But after a week of silence, her concern grew. When 10 days passed without any word from him, Hannah reported him missing to the local authorities. A search team was quickly assembled. Rangers, volunteers, and even the town sheriff, Dan Mulligan, combed the forest, following Michael's planned route. The search lasted for weeks, but no trace of him was found. No gear, no campsite, no clues as to what had happened. It was as if Michael had simply walked into the forest and vanished into thin air. As days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, speculation ran rampant in Elmsworth. Some believed Michael had fallen victim to a wild animal or an accident in the remote terrain. Others whispered of more supernatural possibilities, recalling the old legends of the Appalachian Mountains. Stories of strange lights seen at night, of ghostly figures that lured travelers away, and of mysterious disappearances that had happened long before Michael. Hannah refused to believe that Michael had simply disappeared without a reason. She began her own investigation, digging through Michael's papers and journals. There, she found something that made her blood run cold, a series of notes about the very stretch of trail where he had vanished. Michael had been researching the history of missing people in the Appalachians and had discovered a disturbing pattern. Every 30 years, like clockwork, a hiker or traveler had disappeared in that region, dating back over a century. Michael had circled the year 1995 in his notes, with the words "next one" written beside it. Hannah was haunted by the thought that Michael might have uncovered something, or someone, that didn't want to be found. Determined to continue his work, she delved deeper into the archives. She discovered that in 1865, a group of Confederate soldiers had allegedly gone missing in the same area, never to return. In 1895, a family of settlers traveling through the mountains vanished, their wagon later found abandoned on the trail. Then in 1925, a famous local explorer named Thomas Carr had disappeared while searching for the lost soldiers, and in 1955, a young couple on their honeymoon had also been lost to the woods. The details in each case were eerily similar. All of the disappearances occurred in October, and none of the bodies were ever recovered. But most chilling of all was the fact that a few days before each disappearance, residents had reported seeing strange lights flickering deep in the woods at night, lights that defied explanation. As Hannah pieced these clues together, she realized that Michael had been the latest in a long line of victims. But unlike the others, Michael had gone into the woods knowing the risks. In his last journal entry, dated just days before his trip, he wrote, "If I don't return, know that it was worth it. Some mysteries are worth vanishing for." Years passed, and the mystery of Michael Ashford's disappearance remained unsolved. The town of Elmsworth slowly moved on, though the story lingered in the minds of the townspeople like a dark shadow. The legend of Michael became one of the town's many ghost stories, retold at campfires and family gatherings. The Appalachian Trail, once a popular destination for hikers, became a place of caution, with few venturing into that remote section of the woods. Then, in the fall of 2025, exactly 30 years after Michael's disappearance, something strange happened. A group of hikers reported seeing unusual lights flickering in the same area where Michael had disappeared. Curious, they ventured closer and stumbled upon a chilling discovery. In a small, hidden clearing, they found a weathered journal lying atop a moss-covered rock. The journal was unmistakably Michael Ashford's. The hikers turned the journal over to the authorities, and when Hannah, now much older, was called to review it, she felt a familiar shiver of dread. The last few pages of the journal were blank, save for one cryptic line, scrawled in Michael's handwriting. "The cycle continues. I have seen it, but I cannot escape it." No one could explain how the journal had resurfaced after so many years. There were no footprints, no sign of anyone else in the area. But Hannah knew one thing for certain: Michael had uncovered something far older and more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. And whatever it wasn't finished yet. As the town braced itself for another October, whispers of the lights in the mountains began to grow once more. Some said it was just a natural phenomenon, a trick of the eye. Others feared something far darker, a force that had claimed many lives over the centuries and would continue to do so, unless someone found a way to break the cycle. But for Hannah, the mystery of Michael Ashford was more than just a ghost story. It was a reminder that some answers are too dangerous to pursue. And sometimes, the past should remain hidden, buried deep in the mountains where it belongs.